What up, Razzballers, and welcome back to another episode of the Razzball Fantasy Football Show. I'm your host, Sky Guasco. We got a great one for you tonight. We're holding it down, and we are getting our bold predictions and crazy calls. One of the most fun episodes of the entire summer. I am joined with my good friends, Derek Favret and Maddie Stiles. We got a fun one for you right here on the Razzball Fantasy Football Show. What up, everybody? Good evening. Welcome back to another episode of the Razzball Fantasy Football Show. I'm your host, Sky Guasco, SKYGUASCO. You can also join my man, Maddie Stiles. That's Stiles08 and Derek Favret. Derek _FAVRET. Bold predictions, crazy calls. Gentlemen, last year we did the same episode, the three of us. We had a lot of fun. Unfortunately, Derek won. Austin Eckler, a top 5 pick last year, would be not only now to the top 5, but basically bomb his entire season and ruin the entire season for fantasy drafters. And Derek was correct. Hate to see it. Good prediction, my man. Hopefully, our negative ones do not come true this year. But bold predictions and crazy calls are a fun piece of fantasy content, but they're also effective on the potential outcomes of said experiments. Before we get into them, I want to make sure everybody's following us on X, everything Razzball, RAZZBALL, NFL. Subscribe to the Razzball Fantasy Football YouTube show, and of course, download the podcast anywhere you listen to your audio, and all of our exclusive content and our articles, as well as free tools for you to use for draft season at football.razzball.com. Maddie Stiles, Derek Favret, joining me, Sky Guasco. Jump in the comments. Let us know what your bold predictions are for the show. Of course, Jamie kicking it off hot. We got the bold prediction show for him next evening, and we are ready for the bold prediction show here on the podcast. Derek, I'm going to let you kick this one off, man. We got 3 bold predictions, and we got 3 crazy calls. Before we get started, I want to kind of set the premise of a bold prediction and a crazy call. A bold prediction I think people are most familiar with, of course, and that's something like, for example, a bold prediction might be, we're talking Tyreek Hill. Not going as the wide receiver 1, but he could end as the wide receiver 1. So Tyreek Hill going as maybe the wide receiver 3 or 4 in most drafts would end as the wide receiver 1. That's a bold prediction. A crazy call would be that Jalen Waddle ends up as the wide receiver 1. We don't expect that at all. Maybe top 12, but to go all the way to number 1, that's insane. For that to happen, many other things have to happen as well in Miami, and the chips have to fall. So some of these crazy calls do come true every year. And when they do, that means that the season temporarily is upside down. So we're having a lot of fun. We each have 3 bold predictions, and we have 3 crazy calls. Derek, I'm going to let you kick it off. This is going to be a long episode, folks. So kick back, enjoy your favorite cold beverage or a warm one, depending on where you're at in the country, and let's get it kicked off. Derek, go ahead. Let us know your first bold prediction for the 2024 season.
All right, sounds good. Let me get started here. I'm going to go a little bit lighter than we'll get this thing warmed up a little bit. And I'm starting in the center of the country. Tyjae Spears. He is currently the running back 2 on his own team. I think that's going to change. He's going to end up as the running back 1 in Tennessee, and he's going to be fantasy relevant. And here's why I say that. 24% target rate on his routes last year compared to only 17% for his backfield mate in Dallas last year. And his drop rate is only 3%. So he gets out in routes, he gets targeted, and he doesn't drop the ball. That's going to be a big thing for Will Levis this year. Tyjae Spears ends the season as the Tennessee number 1 running back and is fantasy relevant as our running back 2.
Oh, love to see that, man. Talk about sucking up to the boss. Bob LaMarco likes to hear that one tremendously. I'm not sure Bob's going to be happy with all of our bold predictions and crazy calls this evening, but certainly liking that one. So does Jeff as well. So Derek's on the board. Tyjae Spears, top 24 and the number 1 running back in Tennessee. Let's see if he can maybe give us a Derrick Henry season. We would love to see that. Maddie Stiles, you're up next. What's your first bold prediction?
Well, I didn't think this was going to happen, but I agree with Derek. 50% ownership currently for me in Tyjae Spears. So, Derek, pat yourself on the back. I hope you are correct. I do not have a running back bold prediction. Stay tuned, folks. I have one in my crazy calls. For me, I'm going to start with quarterback. And there's a tease at the bottom, right? Kyler Murray. When we started drafting this season or this offseason, Kyler Murray was kind of a middling quarterback, and people weren't really sold on him. He's starting to creep up those draft boards, and you hear more and more experts talk about how he's going to be this, he's going to be that. Top 5, top 6, top 7. Make sure you get him in the 5th or 6th round. Stack him with Trey McBride if you're in a 1 quarterback, 1 tight end league. That's all fine and dandy. My bold prediction for Kyler Murray is that he will finish the season higher ranked than Anthony Richardson, who will finish outside of the top 12 quarterbacks. Kyler will outperform Richardson, and Richardson will be number 13 or below when the season's over.
Oh, so it's almost a two sorted. That's a two sorted bold prediction. So Kyler Murray, and of course the unnecessary shade to Anthony Richardson, but we love it here on the bold prediction episode. But here we go. We're throwing Anthony Richardson under the bus off the injury, mind you. No sympathy from Senior Styles, and Kyler Murray back to form after his unfortunate injury the last 2 seasons. And you know what, folks? It's only fun if we piggyback on each other without knowing it. My bold prediction is better than Styles, and that's Kyler Murray is top 3 as a quarterback here. I love to see Kyler Murray get back to his 2020, 2021 self. He has not played a full season since 2020, 14 games, 11 games, and 8 games. He is trending in the horrendously wrong direction in the health department. However, when he's right, about 35 to 4,000 yards, 26 rushing touchdowns, add on maybe another 10 on the ground, plus all of the rushing yards he gets as well. Love to see that. And he's got a nice completion percentage, which you don't necessarily see from Lamar Jackson and some of these other running quarterbacks. So when Kyler Murray is 100% Kyler Murray, he is one of the best runners in the top upper echelon, obviously with his quickness, shiftiness, speed, but also scores, and he can throw the ball maybe better than the rest of these rushing quarterbacks as well. So he just got to keep the sacks to a minimum, which he's been sacked a lot because that offensive line in Arizona is rough. But he has a new weapon, obviously. Now he's got Trey McBride for a full season, Trey Benson coming in there as well, and Marvin Harrison Jr., as we know. So I'm going to piggyback on Styles and go with Kyler Murray as a top 3 quarterback as well. And he's one of my favorite values in all of fantasy football currently, especially at the quarterback position. All right. DFAV, you're up for your second one. What is it, buddy?
All right. So I've got a wide receiver from my second bold prediction. He's currently generally considered the wide receiver 2 on his own team. I think he's going to be the wide receiver 1 on his team, and that's because all of these are going up. His ADOT, his catch percentage, his yak, and his air yards are all trending up. So this player will not only be the number 1 wide receiver on his team, he will be a top 10 fantasy wide receiver on the year. Give it back up to Deebo Samuel, top 10 wide receiver at the end of the year.
Love that one. I mean, again, we're not voting on this particular podcast, but that's a point for Derek. Now, our boy Ayuk has to either land or get out of there, but I like that a lot. I know that me and Styles have talked about the Ayuk situation quite a bit, but for those of us that play at Candlestick Park, we'd love to hear Deebo Samuel's master season. Styles, you're up for number 2. What you got, bud?
Number 2 to me is a little bit boring, but if we were going to blow everybody out of the water, they wouldn't have any reason to tune in next week. My number 2 bold prediction, A.J. Brown finishes as a top 4 wide receiver, and the bonus points behind this is I'm going to give you the top 3. Newly contracted CeeDee Lamb, the Cheetah, and possibly the favorite wide receiver that Derek and I can agree on, Amon-Ra St. Brown, will be the top 3.
Love that. Say it one more time. Amon-Ra St. Brown and whom else?
Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, with A.J. Brown finishing as number 4.
So Jamar and Justin out of the top 4. I hear
Correct.
that loud and clear. Like to hear that, and that's a boost there for Jalen Hurts then, because we know he's going to run. If we can get that expert passing down as well, that would be another one. So Styles on the board with number 2. A.J. Brown finishes top 4 in Philadelphia. And, man, he was off to an incredible start last season. What was it like? I think it was 9 games in a row, 150 or so with an NFL record. phenomenal. And every mock draft you and I have had basically, man, over this season, we've gotten it going on, which has been real nice. All right, my second bold prediction here. I'm going to turn it back the clock one more time. I believe in it. I loved it when it happened. I did an episode when all of the free agency was going around. We all made our predictions. Most of those turned out to be hogwash because it's impossible to figure out free agency. But one of them I predicted, and one of them made the most sense, and it landed. This one right here. Derrick Henry goes to Baltimore. Love to see that. Looks great in the uniform and with that offense and that rushing attack. I love to see it as well. My bold prediction is that Derrick Henry has one more, not only great season, but career high season with 20 rushing touchdowns. 2016, he had 17 rushing touchdowns plus a couple of receiving. But this year he gets 20 rushing touchdowns, even if it's not a full 17 games. Therefore, that would land him in the top 10, probably the top 6, depending on your format. We know he doesn't catch the ball too much, but all those touchdowns are going to add up quickly. And of course, the yardage to come with it. So for me, my bold prediction, number 2 is Derrick Henry, follows up with the career high 20 touchdowns. And Derrick, I've noticed on my sheet here, you've infiltrated my mind so much that I went with the Derek Favret spelling.
That's
and not
right.
the correct Derrick Henry spelling. So
he's going to be so stoked getting the season high or the career high 20 touchdowns. He's going to change his name to spell it the correct way.
So to the Henry family, I apologize that the Favret has infiltrated my brain there to the Derrick Henry. So I like that a lot. Anyway, bold prediction number 2 from me, King Henry, career high 20 touchdowns. All right, boys, round 3 on bold predictions before we get to crazy calls. Derrick, you're up again.
All right. This player led his position last year in targets and receptions. He wasn't the fantasy leader in this position, but he led it all targets and receptions. We've talked about him a lot this preseason, and that's Evan Ingram. Not only does he repeat, he finishes the fantasy year as tight end number 1.
Ooh.
Because he is Lawrence's favorite target. We saw it this weekend. He catches the ball. We talked about this last week. Sky catches the ball over 90% of the time. We saw that again this weekend. They have a chemistry there, and he is going to finish the year as tight end number 1 because he's going to get into the end zone with all those targets and all those receptions, get in the end zone a little bit more, and finish the year tight end number 1. Evan Ingram.
Love to hear that. Styles and I have been cranking him out in mock drafts as well. I think we got A.J. Brown and Evan Ingram in about 90% of our mock drafts over the summer when we've been doing them on Mock Draft Mondays. So we love to hear that as well. And we rattled off a bunch of his stats last year. He's just got to stay healthy. There's not many other weapons out there with Christian Kirk a bit banged up and Brian Thomas Jr., who we all love, but he's a rookie. We'll see what happens. So I like Evan Ingram there climbing the charts. Not top 5, folks. Number 1. Love that. Last bold prediction there from Derrick. All right, Styles, last bold prediction from you. What you got?
That is bold, but I'm going to, when we get to crazy calls, I'm going to blow that bold prediction out of the water. Okay, so stay tuned. My third bold prediction, for those of us that have either lived, resided, stayed, visited, or have connections to the West Coast, DK Metcalf plus JSN will be better by season's end than Nico Collins plus Stephon Diggs. Now, a crazy call would have been to add Lockett and Tank Dell. I don't have big enough cojones for that. So my bold prediction is at the end of the year, DK and JSN have better statistics in fantasy PPR than Nico plus Diggs.
Holy smokes. As a West Coaster and, of course, a Niner fan, I'm just not a Seahawk guy. I live in Seahawk country, and I'm not a Seahawk. It's really brutal. I got to be honest, guys. Living in 12 country as not a 12 is really difficult. But as just a football fan, I would love to see this happen in general. It'd be a lot of fun to live in that electric atmosphere. My only kickback immediately is the quarterback. Geno Smith is just not on the level of CJ Stroud, in my opinion. And we'll have to see, JSN pick it up another notch and leave Lockett in the dust, which I don't know if that happens because we keep kind of waiting for it to happen. And additionally, have Diggs really hit that mark on his new team there. So we shall see what goes on there.
Now, mind you, with that bold prediction, you're talking DK in the 4th, Nico in the 2nd, JSN in the 7th or 8th, Diggs in the 4th. I'm willing to take my chances with the draft capital and the discount and have this as a parlay for me.
I dig it. A parlay. Look at that. Love to see
It's a
it.
Vegas term.
Oh, right. Styles is on the board with his third bold prediction. That's DK Metcalf and Jackson Smith and Jigba up in Seattle. Better than overall in fantasy, Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs, newly acquired by the Houston Texans. All right, gentlemen, my last bold prediction, and then we're going to take a quick break and get to some of these comments here. Jamie's blowing us up with all of his, which I appreciate. We got a couple other notes there as well. My third bold prediction, we're going back to the well, folks. Trusty Cooper Kupp, top 3 wide receiver. I was going to go number 1, but you know, that's a crazy call. We're still in bold predictions. I got a few other crazy calls for us. Cooper Kupp, healthy right now, wide receiver 19. Folks, you're drafting this weekend, you're drafting next weekend. That's how fantasy football goes. It's the most busy time of the year. It's basically Christmas, whatever you decide to celebrate. It's right now for fantasy football drafters. I love me some Puka Nacua. Don't hear what I'm not saying. If you're drafting Puka Nacua in the second round and you're not drafting Cooper Kupp in the 4th instead, may have an issue come up in a couple of months. Puka Nacua as the 8th ranked wide receiver in PPR. Cooper Kupp's going to 19th. I will flip them handily and boost up Cooper Kupp even from then. No chance. I'm skipping on him in the 3rd or 4th round, and I'm not picking Nacua at his top there, although shout out to Hawaii as well. Cooper Kupp, top 3 for me. And again, back to 2019 and 20 and 21 before he got hurt. I think the Breakfast Club returns this year. He's healthy right now. He's going to be just fine. Stafford's going to go back to the well. The vets are going to get it done. Love me some Cooper Kupp. Also, my biggest value in wide receivers, Kyler Murray for quarterback. It's Cooper Kupp at wide receiver. That is my third bold prediction. Cooper Kupp, top 3 wide receiver. All right, gentlemen, we're going to take a quick commercial break here. Let's get to some of these. Jamie's blowing us up with a couple of them. We also have Finish Line Fantasy coming in. Christian McCaffrey, not top 3 running back. Don't love to see that because he's pretty much everybody's 101 pick. So that's going to be a big one there. Jamie's got a bunch. Jaden Daniels outscore Richardson. I like that one as well. I'm a big Jaden Daniels guy. I have Murray ranked at 5. I thought that was bold. Nope. Let's go top 3. Derrick Henry, bold prediction, 18 touchdowns. I'm going to go with 20. And then you have Evan Ingram, top 3, but number 1. So Jamie's right on par with us, guys. We're just a little bit further ahead of him, but I like to see that quite a bit. And then Cooper Kupp, last year considered top 5 when healthy. He was, and he will be. We'd love to see that. All right, gentlemen, let's take a deep breath after our bold predictions. I'm going to recap all these one more time. Derek, I'm going to start with you. Just read off your bold predictions, 1, 2, 3. Styles, please do the same, and then I'll read mine before we get on to crazy calls. And then Matt will start with you with your first crazy call. So, Derek, remind the people at home what your 3 bold predictions were.
Yeah, Tajay Spears, number 1 running back in Tennessee. Deebo Samuel, top 10 wide receiver in fantasy. And Evan Ingram, the number 1 tight end in fantasy this year.
Styles.
Kyler Murray finishes higher than Anthony Richardson. Richardson finishes outside the top 12 for quarterbacks. That's a parlay for you. A.J. Brown is a top 4 wide receiver behind the Cheetah, the Lamb, and the Sun God. And the third one is DK plus JSN is a better fantasy combination in PPR leagues than Nico Collins plus Stephon Diggs.
Also a parlay, which I just found out, folks, is a Vegas term. Parlay.
It is a Vegas term.
Yeah, that's Parlay. Parlay.
Could be Reno, which is the biggest little city.
It is a brand of butter, too. It's so smooth.
That's
Count
parquet.
it.
That's parquet. Same floor as the Boston Garden. You're welcome.
Yep. It's also those things that they try to sell you at McDonald's to pretend like they have vitamins at McDonald's, which are their parfait. Not quite the same, but like similarly. All right, let's move on here, folks. We do have crazy calls there as well. Once again, bold predictions. It could happen. It could happen. Probably unlikely. It could happen. Crazy calls. Crazy calls happen. If crazy calls happen, I will get there in 1 second. Thank you for the reminder. Crazy calls are absolutely basically impossible. But if they happen, things are turned upside down. We'll get to those in 1 second. But you're right. I am a man of the people. Thank you for keeping me honest. Kyler Murray, top 3 quarterback. Derrick Henry, career high 20 touchdowns. And then Cooper Kupp returns the form, top 3 wide receiver. 4 years ago, these were all automatic. Nowadays, they're all been slept on and forgotten about. I'm going back to the well with the OGs. All right, crazy calls number 1. Here we go. Matty Styles, you're on the clock.
Let it wash over you. Brian Thomas Jr. plus Xavier Worthy, the lower drafted wide receivers by a long way, will outperform Malik Neighbors plus Rome Odunze. There is another parlay, 4 players. So it's not really a parlay. You could separate
It's a parfait.
it up. Yeah, it's more of
Not
a
a
parfait.
sponsor.
By the way, do we think Bob's ever had a parfait? I'm
100%.
on the side of no.
No,
way.
Bob has 100% had a parfait. Guaranteed he's had a parfait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, KFC used to have a parfait, and it trumped McDonald's. It was way better.
Yeah, because Bob's the type of dude, maybe after like let's say a basketball practice in like 4th grade, Bob goes for like the 36-piece nugget, and then to get like the vitamins, he's going with the parfait. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So 100% guaranteed Bob's had a parfait. But go ahead, back to your crazy call.
Yeah, I bet $1 that Bob is a frozen yogurt guy. He doesn't even like ice cream. Remember, he's got a lactose thing.
Sure.
Remember Bobby Two Palms.
I do. Yes, thank you.
Yes, Brian Thomas Jr., who I think we're going to get another crazy call from real soon, plus Xavier Worthy is going to be better than Neighbors and Odunze. Argue with me.
I don't know that I'm going to argue with you. I mean, okay, Chief. So love that. And Rashid Rice, obviously, we know more and more is not going to miss any time. But number 2B, maybe at worst, Xavier Worthy, love that. Loved him at Texas. And then Brian Thomas is my favorite rookie wide receiver, period, right now with his opportunity. So I don't hate this at all. Derek, quick thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I don't know if this is all that crazy other than just the names on the right side of that ledger. But yeah, I might actually put a few bucks on this parfait.
Yeah, but again, with the draft capital, it does qualify as a crazy call. But honestly, I'm not sure it's going to end up that crazy should it happen.
It's right. Kind of a cheater's crazy call. I'm trying to base the crazy on draft capital, but it was also something that could have gone under bold predictions instead. So
yeah, sure, fair enough. Okay, well, let's go to Derek here. We got your first crazy call, my man. You're up.
Yeah, my first one actually fits this bill as well because I actually think this may happen. And this is Aaron Rodgers. He's not a top 5 quarterback this year, folks. He's not a top 10 quarterback this year. He's not even a top 15 quarterback this year. He will finish top 20 at best. This gentleman had not completed a pass in a green uniform. Not since week 18 of the 2022 season has he actually completed a pass. He's 40 years old, and he hasn't played in a preseason game. This gentleman is not going to be a top quarterback. I'm sorry. My crazy call is top 20 at best.
Wow. Throwing shade at the Cal Bear. I don't like to hear that. I stick up for my Cal Bears, Matt. Matt, I know you're a big Cal Bear fan as well. You taking this?
Yeah, well, we don't make the rules, right? We just set the parameters. Derek does what he wants to do. All I'm saying is that at a certain point, there's friendships on the line.
Hey, so just remember, this time last year, I made a call that you said the same thing about, and who was right? This guy.
Well, I'm not disagreeing with you. I just don't like how you framed this. And remember, Sky didn't give me credit today. I gave you Puka Nacua, and I gave you top 12 Baker Mayfield.
Yeah,
in 2023.
That is true. Absolutely.
And Bob wants to argue semantics. Well, on a per game basis, shut up. Baker was top 12.
not that we're keeping score at home, but if anybody's taking,
not that it bothered me that he wanted to split hairs, but yes, Baker was top 12.
I get it. Yeah, the Puka Nacua call is forever the. You guys have the 2 best bold predictions we've had on this program, period. Unfortunately, Derek's ruined a lot of people's.
His was on the positive, mine was on the negative. Yeah.
But both of you guys came through last year.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. My first crazy call here. I'm going to go with the homer pick while I can, and I'm sticking to it. It's not just a homer pick, folks. This is like I think it could happen as well. Bo Nix, go Ducks. Top 15 quarterback. I almost went top 12, but I did some quick math, and Bo's not going to run. He doesn't run anyway, but he's not going to run under Sean Payton. Let's not forget that Sean Payton had Drew Brees his entire career. I think Drew Brees had negative 400 yards rushing in his entire career. He's not going to run the ball. Therefore, it's going to be incredibly difficult, maybe impossible to crack the top 12 without a plethora of injuries. However, as a rookie on a bad team right now, in I think a great overall division, in the AFC, which is very tough and top heavy. I think Bo Nix still will be top 15. He has impressed in the preseason. He's got the weapons. I think it's building. And Sean Payton is the quarterback whisperer, and he's been saying nothing but glowing things since he came in there. So Bo Nix, of course, I'm a Duck homer, and that's definitely a biased pick, but I really do believe that this could potentially happen. For me, he's another massive draft day capital. If you're in super flex leagues, he's an easy number 3 for me for free. And if you're in rookie dynasty picks, I would reach a whole round for him because I think he's going to outlast JJ McCarthy, and we've already seen that happen already. And in redraft league single quarterback, he's a great 3rd, 4th option, or even a waiver wire pickup come week 4 before the steam gets going. So Bo Nix, top 15, my first crazy call. Gentlemen, quick thoughts?
Well, if I could show you my paper and you could actually read it, and I scribbled it out, I had Bo Nix as the top quarterback in this rookie class this year.
Let's go.
That was going to be my crazy call, but I found another one which I thought was actually a little crazier. So
love it.
Let me ask this, right? If we look at my bold prediction of Anthony Richardson outside the top 12, you leaned towards Bo Nix top 15 because could Bo Nix finish ahead of Anthony Richardson?
Do you see what I'm here? Here's Bo Nix. Here's Anthony Richardson. You know what I mean? That's all it takes. Absolutely. Yep. Let's see it happen. If Bo Nix actually, you remember Drew Brees kind of patented the the 1 yard over the top because he's like 5'9" or whatever. So he would just snap and then just sneak the ball over the top real quick, like a fake dive. He got like 3-4 rushing touchdowns like that every year. Bo Nix gets a couple of those on accident. Plus, I don't know what, 25, 28 touchdowns, but about 4,200 passing yards. I think it certainly happened. The thing is, in Denver, they have to keep up. That's why I think this even if it's artificial garbage time, and some guys like Bob LaMarco don't believe in garbage time, it's all fantasy points, folks. And I think that's going to matter when you're chalking up stats, chasing Mahomes and Herbert and whatever the Chargers have going on. And, of course, Gardner Minshew in that division. All right, let's get back to the drawing board. We got a second crazy call around the horn here. Styles, you were up.
So I can either trump Derek's tight end with my tight end crazy call, or I can take a dig at the boss. Your call.
Take a dig at the boss at the end. That way, if he pops on quick and ends the program, the fans don't lose out. You know what I'm saying? We're here for the people. You know what I mean? You guys can handle HR stuff behind the scenes. I don't want the program to end, under semantics. So why don't we save that one to the end?
Deal. Crazy call number 2. Dalton Kincaid sets the NFL tight end record by having at least 116 receptions this year. Parlay that with over 9.5 touchdowns.
Wow. Again, that's a Vegas term, parlay. Shouts out George Kittle, who I think went back and forth for like 3 weeks, getting that and not getting it, and then getting it, and then Travis Kelce. That was a lot of fun.
No, that is actually Zach Ertz holds the record at 116.
Yep. They went back and forth that year, though. They had it was like every 2 weeks or something like that. Kittle and Ertz went back and forth. But man, Zach Ertz, what a fall off. That was disappointing. He was great there in Philly for a long time. That was fun. He had a resurgence in Arizona too, as well. Shouts out to my boy Ertz, and big up his wife as well. All righty, Dalton Kincaid over 116. That's an NFL record for Matty Styles. Derek, what do you got?
Yeah, I don't hate that. I've got Kincaid in a few places, and I expect them to be in the 95 to 100 range, but I'll take 116. I don't hate that at all.
Love it.
All right, I'm going to go for my second one. I'm going to go a little bit out of order because I got to save the best one for last. So my second crazy call, Adonai Mitchell. He's currently wide receiver 60 on Matt's wide receiver ranks. He's going at ADP 147, which is in the 12th round. He finishes top 25 fantasy wide receiver. Adonai Mitchell.
Now, that's not good for Bo Nix.
And let me add one more. Let me add one more piece to this. Sorry. So his college teammates, Lad McConkey and Xavier Worthy, both higher fantasy prospects than Adonai Mitchell. He surpasses both of them this year.
Nice. Oh, Jamie coming in hot. AD Mitchell a bust.
Whoa.
Boom.
Whoa.
Right off the bat.
Jamie, you were with me with Ingram. I don't know if I can take this.
Man,
he's a bust.
Ooh, well, if you're hoping for Joe Flacco to be the starting quarterback, perhaps that's what you're hoping for in Indiana.
Volume, baby.
I'm hoping for that.
So is Bo Nix.
Yes.
All right, there we go. A.D. Mitchell going to explode
25.
there as a rookie. Yeah, we got a lot of rookie wide receiver, rookie content in general, and I will keep it going with my second crazy call, and that is that Trey Benson is a top 12 running back from week 8 onward. Last year, I believe it was Matty Styles predicted that Jalen Warren would be the number one or the best producing, I should say, the top scoring running back for the Pittsburgh Football Steelers from week 8 on. And that kind of did happen on a per game basis, if you will. Love me some James Conner. And I also don't want to get fired. So I have my obligatory James Conner's great. We love him. We're rooting for him. He's handsome, like whatever, right? I want to make sure the boss is happy, but he's had injury trouble. He's getting old as far as running backs go. And Trey Benson, in my personal opinion, is the truth. And I do believe that he is going to be a top 12 running back per game basis when healthy. And a lot of this has to do with Kyler Murray. If Kyler Murray is not healthy, then it probably doesn't happen. But I think this offense in Arizona has had spurts. And with those guys healthy, I think it's going to open it up tremendously. Trey Benson can also catch the ball. He was a dog at Florida State. He's one of my favorite running backs in this class. From the point that he basically becomes a starter and or week 8, I think he'll be a top 12 PPR running back per game. Trey Benson, top 12, is my second crazy call. Quick thoughts on that, guys, before we get to the last round.
Connor misses games every year. This is the year I'm banking on him staying healthy the whole year. You don't bet on or against injuries, right? Unless somebody's coming into the season with a significant injury, a la Nick Chubb. Big pour it out for Nick Chubb. That's sad to hear today that he's going to miss a minimum of 4 games. To me, this is more crazy than it is bold. I'm not sure that I'm going to get behind this with $1, but I hope that you're right so that you can brag about it later.
Yeah, and if we're handcuffing James Conner, which you should be, this is a good call. So, yeah, get Trey Benson, handcuff him, and regardless if Sky's right or not, you'll be in good shape.
All righty. Final round, folks. We got a couple more from Jamie. I'll just give him his flowers, as the kids say. Blake Corum outscores Kyron Williams. I know we talked about that on yesterday's program with the boys. Kyron Williams, obviously Bob's a big Kyron Williams guy. Blake Corum, of course, probably will not get that work should he not get injured, and we do not wish injuries upon anybody here on the program. So we want to make sure all of our guys stay healthy. All right, gentlemen, final round here. Let's get it going. Crazy call number 3. Matty Styles, you're up.
Well, I will tell you that it was fun being a part of the Razzball team. As we know, we work for and report to Bob. But I'm going to do my own thing here. It's crazy calls. He's authorized it, so we can do whatever we want is the way I look at it. True. So I'm going to need you both to buckle up. Remember who we work for. There it is. Kyron Williams finishes outside the top 12 for running backs. Editor's note, suck it, Bob.
End quote.
End quote, yes.
Well, Jamie, really quick, jumping in here. Top 5 running back Blake Corum when Kyron gets hurt, and Kyron will never get his job back. Yikes. The Kyron shade is just kind of coming out of nowhere here at the program. Shouts out to him and his family, but for fantasy football, it's not quite it. Kyron Williams finishes outside the top 12. Now, not as extreme. Now, big deal because, Bob's got his thing with Kyron, but not as extreme as Derek was last year on Austin Eckler, thankfully. So I could almost live with this. I would be very disappointed, but if Kyron Williams is, let's say, RB15 or something like that, it'd be a bust pick, but I could survive that. What happened to Austin Eckler last year was brutal, unfortunately. But Matt, putting his job on the line for the crazy calls here. Kyron Williams finishes outside top 12 RB. For the people. And I'll save that little parentheses there for the next episode as we are a family show. All right, let's move on here. Derek, you got your final one. What you got?
All right, I'm ready to go. So I took a lot of flack from the folks in Southern California last year with this pick. So I'm going to make amends this year. My final crazy call, Austin Eckler returns to fantasy relevance in Washington, despite the fact that he's in a true timeshare with Brian Robinson, despite the fact that Washington is rated with the worst offensive line in the league, despite the fact that he's playing with a rookie quarterback. Eckler's pass catching abilities in the backfield. He's got a fresh start back east. He can leave all that drama behind. He won't be, well, Sky, you had Trey Benson top 12. Matt, you had Kyron outside the top 12, so we'll put him 13. So that means Austin Eckler is going to be a top 11 running back for fantasy this year. Back to fantasy relevance. Austin Eckler, top 11 running back.
Man, Derek just going from extreme to extreme. Now, if this one comes true, you're going to win people money, and then you're going to be back in the good graces because nobody's even drafting Austin Eckler, let alone as somebody to start. He's a bye-week filler right now as maybe a backup to Brian Robinson in Washington, or at least a third down back. So this comes to fruition, man. You're going to make some people happy. I hear the groans from the other top corner there. Styles, quick thoughts?
No, I just think it's bold, right? It's bolder than bold. It's crazy. I like that he's using a guy that he used last year. I wanted to find a way to wiggle Baker in here or Puka, but it didn't make a lot of sense. There were a couple I bombed on, but I didn't go back and look at them. I think those are almost more fun. No, I think it's gutsy. It's crazy. So you're not paying me to argue with it. So it's crazy. I'm with him right there. I don't think that the guy has it to finish in the top 11, but they like him goal line. He can catch a lot of passes. If those things kind of create the perfect storm for him, right, and he doesn't have to run between the tackles all the time, then.
And of course, we're scoring in the only league that's even relevant. That's a PPR. So
correct.
Let's take that into account.
Of course. And Anthony Lynn also there in Washington, which we know that Austin Eckler came up with Anthony Lynn and Melvin Gordon in San Diego before they went north a bit to LA. So continuity. Bob would like to see that. All right.
Now,
last crazy call here.
If we have time at the end, I have one that makes me sad to say. I didn't build a banner for it, but I have one in my back pocket if you want me to get really, really funky and do what Derek just did with Eckler.
If it's something close to like Antonio Freeman outside the top 15 wide receivers or something like that would make me sad. I prefer you not share that because I have really fond memories of Antonio Freeman, but anything else I think would be just fine. We'll see.
And let's keep Tom Brady in the booth too, by the way.
Yeah.
Don't bring him back.
I'm writing the crazy call now, so it is ready if you need to come to me.
I will. And shouts out and pour one out for Greg Olson, who IMO, as the kids say, did a hell of a job last year and got booted by the greatest quarterback of all time, but not necessarily the greatest analyst. We shall see. I'm excited to listen to him talk football, but I thought Greg Olson did a hell of a job. All right, moving on here. My final crazy call, Joshua Palmer, who nobody even knows plays football anymore, apparently, at wide receiver 59, folks, ranked among ECR. Last year with Keenan Allen, with Austin Eckler, with Mike Williams, with Gerald Everett, available from time to time. 5, 7, 8, 7, 7, 4, 4, 8, and 10 targets in those games is maybe a fourth or fifth option potentially. A couple of games over 100 yards. He can get the big play. He can get the slot work. He has a great catch percentage. I know they're not going to throw as much with Justin Herbert. Plus, he's got a plantar fasciitis, which if anybody's ever had that in like regular life, it's horrendous. Imagine playing quarterback. They're going to run the ball a lot, I know, but they're also going to open the deep ball for a massive arm, and Joshua Palmer has the rapport there with Justin Herbert. It's insane that he's getting drafted way behind Ladd McConkey. No shade, but I just think it's ridiculous that he's the first one off the board and not Joshua Palmer. This is another great value for me. Joshua Palmer, top 24, and he's barely even being drafted. So as your wide receiver 6, this could be a guy come halfway down the season there where he's starting as a flex or 2. So keep an eye on Joshua Palmer for free in your drafts. Quick thoughts on Joshua Palmer, and then I'm going to ask you guys for your crazy calls before we get out of here.
I'm in. Joshua Palmer, I'm in.
Yeah, I am as well.
Jamie's got to hear Palmer is my most owned best ball wide receiver. We love the big play. Cade, coming in last minute here, Allen and Brooks or Richardson and Marvin Harrison. This sounds like a trade question. We will get to that in 1 second. Cade, you guys have seen it quick. Put your head around that, and we'll get it moving. We do have a quarterback involved with that. All right, Styles, please give us your 3 crazy calls.
I have 4. We can hit my other one at the end. Crazy call. Brian Thomas Jr. plus Xavier Worthy is better than Malik Neighbors plus Roma Dunze. Number 2, Dalton Kincaid sets NFL tight end record for receptions with at least 116. Parfait that with the over 9.5 touchdowns. And Kyron Williams finishes outside the top 12 for running backs. And I think at the end there's a smudge on my screen. It looks a little bit like Suck It, Bob, but I'm not sure if that's what it says or not.
Derek, how about you? 3 crazy calls.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers, no better than a top 20 fantasy quarterback. And I could have added, I didn't. I could have added, he goes into retirement.
Whoa,
at the end of the year.
It's one thing to dig the hole, Derek. We don't need to throw the shovel right away. It just the guy had 3 plays last year.
Looks like Gilbert Brown.
Yeah.
Oh, that's gravedigger talk. Love to hear that.
Second call, A.D. Mitchell outperforms his college teammates. Joe Flacco comes in, elevates him to a top 25 wide receiver. And last, Austin Eckler returns to fantasy relevance, top 11 running back, despite what Jamie says. Austin Eckler, top 11 running back in fantasy relevant. Maybe I wouldn't even call him a league winner, but that would be crazy to call him a league winner. But on the verge of a league winner. How about that?
I like it. We need on the verge of league winners as well, because not everybody can be one. But you got 4 on the verge of league winners, you end up being a league winner. All right, my first crazy call here. Homer pick. Got to have one every year. It is Bo Nix, top 15 quarterback. Love to hear how he's going in Denver. Got the starting nod. Big up my rookie. Crazy call number 2, Trey Benson, another rookie, top 12 running back from week 8 onward, / when he takes on the starting role from James Conner in that offense with Kyler Murray, who was one of my bold predictions as a top 3 quarterback. Finally, crazy call, Joshua Palmer, top 24 wide receiver, getting drafted double that plus at wide receiver 59. Go grab him for free and enjoy it. Styles, you did have a bonus for us. Go ahead and give it to us before we get to that trade talk.
This one makes me sad, right? I made a lot of money and a lot of friends. Some of them at bars in Chicago, just meeting people that were talking fantasy football before the season started. I will go down in fantasy lore by telling people to draft Puka Nacua with their last pick. We're going to come back to earth with Puka. I'm not proud of this. I don't love it. I'm not here to endorse any type of falling off the cliff, but I honestly believe Deontay Johnson has more catches than Puka Nacua in 2024.
Jamie can't agree more. Some of his, we got Ken Walker, top 5 running back. Deontay Johnson, top 12 wide receiver. Daniel Jones, top. He's got it as well. Deontay Johnson, more catches than Puka Nacua. Don't like to see that. That's going to be a volume thing. We'll see, obviously, and Carolina is going to be tough to match that. But nonetheless, I think all of us we don't hate the player. We hate the game. Shout out my boy Stuart Scott. It's more about the opportunity and Cooper Kupp coming back to form there to fade Puka Nacua at the draft capital potentially. Derek, quick thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'm out. I'm not both of you know, I'm not a Nacua guy. I'm not drafting him where he's being drafted, but this is just crazy. Yeah, I'm out.
I agree. Cade has a question for us, gentlemen. This is a trade question, I believe. We do not have league settings, so let's just take it face value. Folks, it's early, and we got the Sunday live show coming up in 2 weeks. We are very excited for the Quad Box to return here to Razzball. Just a quick heads up to everyone listening right now. When you give us trade questions, we love them. Bring them on. Ask us 100 of them. We'll get to every one. But please, please, please give us as much league content as possible. Is this a super flex league? Is it quarterback? Is it 4-point? Is it 6-point? Is it PPR? Is it, whatever? Is there anything we need to know to give you the best advice here? Right now, it looks like Josh Allen and Jonathan Brooks of the Carolina Panthers, or Anthony Richardson and Marvin Harrison. We're going to say half PPR because we split the difference, gentlemen. Single quarterback league, just take it as is. Which side would you rather have? We got it right here. Thank you, Cade. Half PPR, 4-point. So rushing does matter. Both of those are rushing quarterbacks, obviously. Derek, I'll start with you. Josh Allen and Jonathan Brooks, or Anthony Richardson and Marvin Harrison?
Yeah, I am going to take the right side, Richardson and Harrison, because you're getting those points from week 1. If Brooks was healthy, I would go left side. but he's not, and he's going to come back. He's going to work himself in. It might be week 6, week 7 before he's actually fully up to speed. That's too far. You're giving up too many points along the way. We don't have the rest of his roster to know if he can withstand that or not. So give me Richardson and Harrison, and I'll start banking those points and those wins from week 1.
Styles.
Yeah, I tend to lean the same way. Even though I'm out on Richardson where he's being drafted, I'm going to take the points from week 1 as well. Here's an outside thought, right? Josh Allen is much older. He's taken a beating and running. He's not the best NFL pocket passing quarterback. He's good, but his legs is where he wins your league. Jonathan Brooks is scheduled to miss probably 3 to 4 games. What do the Carolina Panthers do if they come out of the gates 3-1 and Chuba's going for $1.25 and a touchdown every game? They're not going to put Jonathan Brooks in. They're going to let Chuba run till the tread falls off. So I think you're safer. And by the way, the lauded prospect, the number one that can't miss, the Brian Taylor, if you will, is Marvin Harrison. So give me the right side. If Brooks was healthy, I'm with Derek. I'd probably go left side, but give me the right side for now.
I agree around the horn, and our trusty colleague here, Jamie, agrees here. Rich and Marv. First of all, if we're just taking this face value, gentlemen, I believe it reads Marvin Harrison. So if I'm getting Marvin Harrison,
yes,
and Richardson, it's a Hall of Famer. I got to take that. But if it's his kid by chance, I'm still going to take it. Richardson and Marvin Harrison Jr. I agree with you guys. Made all the points there, absolutely. And I think Richardson could have a massive season. And in half PPR, whatever, I'm going to take Harrison because he's going to bundle up all those catches. Plus, they should have similar yardage and touchdowns as well, maybe face-to-face. So I think that having that month off and being a little bit rusty, and you make a good point, Matt. And Chuba Hubbard's being slept on big time. He was almost one of my bold predictions along with Jerome Ford at running back because these are running backs that are starters that nobody's talking about right now. So keep an eye on those guys. And don't forget about our boy, old fan here, Aaron Jones, hanging out there. Aaron Jones hanging out in Minnesota.
So, guys, that's our first try box of the year.
It is, and it's the first try box, which means what's next is the quad box. So make sure you stay tuned to that, folks. We are having a lot of fun here. We have had a great episode of bold predictions and crazy calls. You can go ahead and recap this again and repurpose on the podcast side if you want to get it again. All your drafts coming up this weekend and next weekend. You can find all of our articles at football.rasball.com and all of our exclusive tools. You can also find us on X at Rasball NFL. Subscribe to the podcast on the YouTube channel and download the podcast as well for your listening pleasure. For Matty Styles at Styles08 and Derek Favret at Derek_Favret, I'm your host, Sky Guasco. Always a pleasure, never a chore, folks. We have a blast doing the show every time with you. We'll catch you next time. And again, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. We got real football 2 hours before kickoff right here on the Rasball Fantasy Football Show. We got the Quad Box Plus. I have a feeling, folks, we're going to have some like 6-7 box episodes coming up for you Sunday morning. We do all your start sits. We do trade questions. Make sure to give us your lead settings, and we got them all for you before your kickoff. We'll catch you next time. Take care of yourself and each other. We are out of here.